It's Wednesday, July 27th. All right, Federal Reserve, you've got our interest. We start here. Amid rising inflation, the Fed is set to raise interest rates even higher. But is it already working too well?
So you're starting to see some of the impacts, but you're also starting to see some of the more sort of troubling signs for the economy.
If you're confused by what's happening with the economy right now, you're not alone. We'll break down the conflicting numbers and what it means for you. If you look real high in the sky, you can see a bird. Oh, wait, that's the Russians giving the bird.
Their plan is to build their own space station and pull out of the ISS.
Why the entire concept of an international space station is rapidly falling apart. And a Saudi-backed golf tour will play right across the river from the World Trade Center.
You're selling your soul to the devil when you get in bed with the Saudis.
In a new era of sport washing, family members of 9/11 victims say they'll never forgive. From ABC News, this is Start Here. I'm Brad Milkey. If you didn't know, this is a huge week for the U.S. economy.
Consumer Confidence Index fell to 95.7 in July, down from 98.4 in June.
Yesterday, we got new numbers on consumer sentiment that shows Americans less and less confident that they'll be able to afford these inflating prices.
With the inflation of everything in general at the moment, I feel like there's nobody who isn't struggling.
Tomorrow, we'll learn whether the U.S. economy did indeed shrink for a second quarter in a row. But today, before those numbers are made public, the U.S. Federal Reserve has to make a decision. Will it continue to raise interest rates? And if so, how much will it take to stop these ballooning prices? ABC's chief business and economics correspondent Rebecca Jarvis starts us off. Rebecca, what are people expecting from the Fed? Like, they're going to raise interest rates further, right?
That's exactly what Wall Street expects, Brad. So all expectations point to not only a rate hike, but a large rate hike, at least 0.75%. And that means that the Fed will be continuing on this path of hiking interest rates in order to try and halt inflation.
At the Fed, we understand the hardship that high inflation is causing. We are strongly committed to bringing inflation back down, and we're moving expeditiously to do so.
It's something that they started last year and have been doing into this year, and it's something they'll very likely have to continue doing because with inflation up 9.1% from a year ago, according to the most recent read, it's going to take a lot to bring that down significantly.
And if that's the plan, if the plan is to raise interest rates so that, money is not as easy to borrow, prices go down, is that working? Like, have we seen evidence that these prices are cooling off at all so far?
Well, what the Fed is doing is they're really targeting demand. There's these two different levers: supply, that is how much stuff do we have, and then demand for it. And the Fed, in hiking interest rates, can cool demand. They make borrowing more expensive, so people spend less money, and then prices ultimately are supposed to go down. We've seen a bit of that so far, but the question is, how much of it is the Fed's rate hikes versus how much is it expectations that there could be a recession around the corner? For example,
gas prices are coming down. In fact, gas prices have fallen every day this summer for 38 days in a row.
You take a look at gasoline prices. They're down about 50 cents over the last month. They're still higher than they were a year ago, but at $4.50, it's nothing by comparison to when we were seeing prices above $5 nationwide.
What we're seeing is lots of price reductions on listings, lots of listings coming on the market.
You're also starting to see sales taper off when it comes to new home sales, down 8.1% from a year ago. So you're starting to see some of the impacts, but you're also starting to see some of the more sort of troubling signs for the economy in things like Walmart's numbers. Walmart coming out and saying American consumers are cutting back.
Walmart is usually cheaper, but I'm finding like now even going to Walmart, things are pretty expensive.
Trying not to just wipe my card for random wants.
They're facing these double-digit increases in things like food, and as a result, they're cutting back in other areas like electronics, like apparel, like clothing. And you mentioned at the very beginning of this, Brad, consumer confidence. Well, the U.S. economy runs on confidence. 2/3 of how our economy behaves is consumer spending. If that starts to cool off dramatically, that's where you really could see the economy shrink.
Real estate and tech companies tend to be a little more tied to interest rates. So as we're seeing them rise, those companies are tightening their belts.
We are starting to see these first and early signs of some companies cutting back. And we heard it yesterday from Shopify saying they're cutting 10% of their employees a lot of these companies built up during the pandemic as though consumer behavior, how we were spending, would just continue into perpetuity, would mirror what we did in the pandemic.
Like you were on the news saying people have this stimulus money, people are working from home, they got more money to spend, nothing to spend it on. And these companies are like, oh, we'll get them to spend it. They'll just keep spending this money on us.
They watched all of my reports, Brad. No, they all made bets like Peloton, like Shopify, that people would just keep up with those same habits that they began to adopt in the pandemic. And that hasn't been the case.
You've had people cooped up at home for the past couple of years, and they're determined to hit the road this summer. So that's meaning higher prices for everything. And it's leading to really high hotel and airfare prices.
Where spending is going now is obviously towards food and gasoline for many people, but it's also going towards travel. It's going to dining out. It's going to these experiences that people were not able to enjoy for many years because of the pandemic. But of course, there's this big question of, okay, once the summer's over, once people go on their holiday and they get their vacations, if the economy is feeling more on shaky footing, do people really start to cut back?
Well, and that leads to my last question, because the other thing that's been all over the place, and you mentioned this, has been home prices and rent price. Like, I've got multiple colleagues who were suddenly told by their landlords in recent months, hey, we're going to raise the rent of your place by $1,000 a month. If you don't like that price, you can leave, because there are people who will now pay that. I'd assume, though, if interest rates are making home buying more difficult, eventually those prices have to come down too, right? Or am I being too hopeful for the months to come?
Well, eventually, that's what you would hope for. Part of the issue when it comes to homes is also the supply.
A lot of these materials that go into houses are up fourfold over the last 18 to 24 months. Those costs are going to be passed on to home buyers.
The construction that didn't happen during the pandemic, the supplies, the wood, the steel, all these various components that go into a home that were not available or accessible. So this created this giant backlog where we would normally be seeing new homes coming onto the market. We didn't see new homes come onto the market. That created a big backlog of people who wanted to buy, who couldn't find the inventory to buy. And then if home values go up, and they have been, and then you turn towards renting, well, you just mentioned it. Rents are up in some places 25% from a year ago. This is this really complicated period of inflation where, again, the Fed is trying to bring it down, but it's not, they don't snap their fingers. This doesn't happen overnight. There's this painful period where the economy is starting to slow down, but prices haven't really come down dramatically yet. So people very likely aren't going to get the raise, but they're still going to be forced to pay that higher price for now until they come down more significantly in the longer term future.
Yeah, so as a result, we talk about housing crises, you got all these new homes that were built, like you said, and it makes you wonder if interest rates, if prices stay this high, are those places that were meant to solve a housing crisis just going to stay vacant? Rebecca Jarvis, really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brad.
Next time on Start Here, it's been the great equalizer in orbit. Well, Russia says it's spacewalking away. Houston, we've got a beef when we come back. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has come at a high cost in many areas. It's no longer included in several big international organizations. Its big institutions have been sanctioned. But there was one part of Russian-American relations that seemed kind of, well, above it all.
We are all up here for the same purpose, to explore and to keep this space station maintained and to keep performing the science on the in our laboratories.
In space, our astronauts continued to work with Russian cosmonauts. In fact, the American astronaut Mark Vande Hei told me it was a point of pride that they didn't let politics interfere up there. Well, yesterday, Russia made a big announcement declaring it will no longer be part of the International Space Station. And with that, perhaps generations of cooperation could go out the window. Let's bring in ABC's Gina Sunseri, who's based in Houston. She actually has a desk at the Johnson Space Center. Like, nobody knows this space better than Gina does. Gina, we've seen Russia kicked out of things before, but this wasn't Russia getting kicked out of the ISS, right? They decided to leave on their own. Do we know why?
That's a good question. And, NASA has not formally been notified that this is even going to happen. The space station, like all good things, is coming to an end anyway, like in 2030. But Russia seems to be moving the timetable up to 2024, which is, 2 years from now.
It's an unfortunate development given the critical scientific work performed at the ISS. The valuable professional collaboration our space agencies have had over the years.
Their plan is, what little we know about it from reading the tea leaves from posts they make on Telegram and other social media, is their plan is to build their own space station and pull out of the ISS.
For our part, we're going to remain committed to working with all the ISS partners to ensure its safe operation and, of course, the safety and security of the astronauts that are on board.
They say they're going to leave, but really, I'm not sure anyone believes they can build a space station in 2 years.
We are exploring options, of course, to mitigate any potential impacts on the International Space Station beyond 2024. If, in fact, Russia withdraws, that's the responsible thing to do, having seen these reports.
Now, if they pull out of the space station, NASA has to make some accommodations because we share resources up there. The Progress vehicles that are always docked to the space station, we use those for propulsion to move the space station if orbital debris threatens the space station. So if Russia won't do that for us, then one of the private companies we use will have to jump into that gap.
Yeah, and what does this mean for the future of space stations in general, right? Because it's been kind of this kumbaya story for the last few decades. If you want to come to space, send your country's astronauts up to this one place. We'll all cooperate. Is that ending? You said 2030, ISS goes away anyway.
Yes, NASA would like to turn low Earth orbit operations, like the space station, which is only a couple hundred miles above us, into over to commercial companies so that NASA can spend their money going back to the moon, going on to Mars. They want to get out of the low Earth business and go higher and farther.
Orbital Reef is a full-fledged commercial space station.
There are several companies that want to build their own space station. Blue Origin is cooperating with a couple of other organizations to build a space station they call Orbital Reef.
10, ignition. Stop. Go Falcon, go Dragon, Godspeed, Axiom 1.
And then there's the private company Axiom, which launched astronauts to the space station earlier this year. They are building one that they're going to start by docking to the space station, these modules, and then they will eventually separate. So apparently companies still see this as a viable option to have an orbiting lab up there.
Yeah, what would be, would different space stations, if they're made by different companies or different countries, would they be used for different sets of agendas? Is there a certain way to use a space station?
Well, they use them for a lot of scientific research. I mean, even on the space station right now, they're doing research on bone density, on how astronauts' eyesight is affected on long-duration missions. It's kind of a test bed for long-duration missions. So there is a future for orbiting space stations for scientific and commercial research. But remember, for all of Russia talking about getting out of the space station and ceasing operations with us, clearly cooperation hasn't ended yet because we have an international crew launching on a SpaceX Dragon to the International Space Station in September, including a Russian astronaut and a Japanese astronaut.
And even if it is the Russian state owning their own space station, it does seem like space is becoming more privatized in a number of ways, right? Either it's private companies or single countries sort of getting their own satellites and space stations out there. Gina Sunseri, there in Houston. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Brad.
A few weeks ago, a new professional golf league debuted. It's called LIV Golf, like L-I-V, and despite that name, it's got some huge signings.
And I see the opportunity for LIV Golf to do a lot of good for the game throughout the world, and I'm excited to be a part of this opportunity.
Phil Mickelson basically quit the PGA Tour to play for LIV Golf. Sergio Garcia was a favorite of the European Tour. He is now a liver, I guess. The reason they were able to make these huge signings was because of huge money.
I don't condone human rights violations. I don't know how I can be any more clear.
money that is provided by the company's chief sponsor, the Saudi Arabian government, which is an interesting business story. It's bizarre geopolitics, but this weekend is not going to be academic because LIV Golf is holding a tournament in New Jersey in practically what used to be the shadow of the World Trade Center. And some family members of 9/11 victims are asking why we are doing business at all with a country whose foreign investments used to include not golf tours, but allegedly Al-Qaeda itself. Terry Strada is the head of the nonprofit 9/11 Families United. Terry, can I just ask you, what was your reaction when you heard this golf tournament was coming to Bedminster, New Jersey?
I was shocked. I couldn't believe that it was actually going to be playing right there, practically in my backyard. I lived in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, where 17 families lost a loved one on September 11th. You know, the state of New Jersey was horrifically affected by the attack. 750 people were killed that day, and over 1,000 children lost a parent, including my 3, who were 7, 4, and 4 days old.
The Crown Prince has been very strong in condemning the murder of U.S. citizens.
So it's been a long journey. I started this quest for the truth, accountability, and justice in 2002.
We must not just speak out against it, we must act out against it.
And it was because of the investigative work that I was starting to read and learn that almost all roads always led back to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
We have found evidence of individual Saudis and Saudi charities, whether witting or unwitting, we do not know, whose funds have found their way to the support of Al-Qaeda and terrorism.
It is no longer alleged. We are in the courtrooms with a lawsuit against the kingdom, but the President Biden had an executive order that he signed last September ordering for a declassification review, and now we have documents.
While heavily redacted, they reveal details of the investigation into Saudi nationals in the U.S. who helped some of the 9/11 hijackers.
I mean, I'm shocked at what I'm reading. It's all here in black and white, CIA, FBI documents about at least 12 Saudi nationals that were involved in the terrorist attacks in helping, aiding, and abetting.
And the documents show a Saudi diplomat living in Los Angeles assisted 2 of the hijackers. The report says the diplomat described the men as 2 very significant people to an associate more than 1 year before the attacks.
The kingdom actually provided the support network that was needed for the first arriving hijackers, and most likely all of them, to set up what they needed to plan, practice, and carry out the attacks.
And when you talk to families, what do they think about this golf tour, about the business, and about the players that have joined it?
We're very disappointed in the players. You know, we've tried to point out to them, I wrote them a letter when this all began, explaining to them the dangers of sports washing, which is what they're involved in if you're going to join up with the kingdom and partner with the kingdom.
Phil Mickelson. It's been a long time since he's felt the nerves of competition, over 4 months, and here he is with us today. Oh, a little baby fade off the tee with the driver.
They do this to try to show the world that, you know, they're good, trusted actors. You know, they're involved in sports too. And they get the players to go out and defend, you know, their reputation by saying, you know, they're good guys to work with. You know, they're great.
I'm certainly aware of what has happened with Jamal Khashoggi, and I think it's terrible. I've also seen the good that the game of golf has done throughout history, and I believe that LIV Golf is going to do a lot of good for the game as well.
When in fact, they're not. They haven't done anything to make amends for the worst terrorist attack that ever happened on American soil. And we are very insulted by the way that they go out and hire these large PR firms to do the same. They put a lot of money into our economy for the same reasons. They just try to buy respect. And you can't buy respect. You have to earn it.
Well, and to that point, you know, this is at Bedminster, New Jersey. The former president, Donald Trump, who owns the club, he has been on record saying that he thinks this was a great move by the Saudis, that they've gotten great publicity, that this has serviced their country. But from the players' perspective, Terry, I got to think that they just think of this as like a paycheck. Like you get paid by people. It's not always great businesses that are your sponsors, but whatever. And I'm sure they're wondering, like, if you hate the Saudis so much, why not also protest the Pentagon or oil companies or gas stations, or like there are farmers that send their rice and their corn to Saudi Arabia? Why is this golf tournament so personal?
Because it isn't about sports. It isn't about creating a tournament or a league that would be a true competition to the PGA. Honest competition raises everybody's platform, right? The PGA would have to, make some changes and they would be competing against each other. This isn't a competition. This is exhibition golf.
This is like essentially just a glorified commercial, you're saying?
Yes, a glorified commercial, exactly.
I'm predicting this goes in. The first birdie in LIV Golf history goes to the former world number one, Martin Keimer.
It's not real competition between competitive players even. You're paid up front. There's no real incentive to practice. It's an exhibition is what it is of players that were on the decline is what I can tell in the PGA, not rising stars, but on the other side of things. And they thought that taking a large sum of money from the kingdom, would give them all of this financial security, and it might do that. But you're selling your soul to the devil when you get in bed with the Saudis.
Well, which makes me wonder then, these families that have spoken out forcefully against this, what are they thinking about the current stance of the U.S. government? Right, President Biden, has he done enough to raise these topics with the Saudis, with the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman? Has he done enough?
No, not at all. President Biden is a huge disappointment to us.
I made my view crystal clear.
We tried very hard to get a meeting with him prior to his trip over to meet with the Crown Prince.
For an American president to be silent on an issue of human rights, is this inconsistent with who we are and who I am?
And we wanted to talk about 9/11 accountability and how important it is, not only for, our families to get the justice that we deserve, but there's a national security element to this. As long as there's well-funded terrorist organizations out there vowing to kill and destroy Americans, and the kingdom has not been held accountable for the pipeline of money that they use to funnel terrorism, well, we've got a problem, don't we? The kingdom needs to be held responsible and accountable for that.
And we should say the Saudi government has always denied outright any connections to 9/11. The Biden administration says it is in the national interest to engage the Saudis regardless of how President Biden feels about their human rights record. Meanwhile, these players just continue to keep their heads down, really. Sergio Garcia recently said he's just trying to do what's best for his family and for the sport. Not a lot of defense of the Saudis, but that money keeps flowing. Terry Strada from 9/11 Families United, thank you so much for the time.
You're welcome.
And one last thing. Even in Ukrainian bomb shelters, we've been inspired by the power of music, its ability to unite, to heal. But most young Ukrainians don't listen to classical music that much. They listen to this. That is the music playing in the bombed-out city of Yahidna, where young people have begun holding events that are part cleanup, part rave.
The houses were broken, a lot of houses ruined, and we wanted to help them rebuild.
That's a young woman wearing big purple goggle sunglasses, bright red hair, classic Eastern European raver, except she then hurries away and grabs a shovel to haul some dirt out of a home. Many of these young people in their 20s used to spend every weekend at a dance hall in Kiev. Now they come here. And remember, raves are very much a part of this culture. In the post-Soviet era, they represented a new type of freedom to Eastern European teenagers. Find an abandoned factory, hire a DJ, boom, you've got a party. To these young people who felt liberated, this was kind of their first chance to join a vibrant, modern art scene. Their parents were playing the violins, while their Western neighbors were playing techno. In recent months, that's all been gone. How can you party during a war, right? But as the shelling has stopped in some cities, they felt a need to restore their communities, both physically and musically.
Rave festivals, it was our lifestyle before, so we miss it and we want to come back to normal life, but our normal life is now volunteering.
Our normal life is now volunteering. That line there, that's really the takeaway to me in a moment like this. Nothing can be the same, but as long as the music's playing, it doesn't have to be. I don't know about you, I always found it so easy to dismiss the uns music until I learned that bit of history about that part of the world. And now I'm always like, oh, respect, Euro ravers. I see you in your super wide leg pants. Start here tomorrow. Hit that follow button for a new episode every morning. I'm Brad Milkey. See you tomorrow.